Today we're joined by Krept, rapper, entrepreneur and co-founder of Nala's Baby, one of the fastest growing skincare brands in the UK. Krept's about to take us into the room where he turned down millions from private investors, the near disasters that almost broke up his company, and why failure does not define him. He talks about building a team that can fix problems, creating a culture where ownership and pride matter more than hierarchy, and how the lessons he learned from losing a lot of money, missing deadlines, and losing control have shaped the way that he leads today. This is the room where it happened. First-hand accounts from behind closed doors in business to better understand the world today and lessons to improve your work tomorrow. Brought to you by IFS, this is the room where it happened with Krept. Krept, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And I guess if we were doing something and you're about to perform on stage, I would call you Krept for the rest of the conversation. But can we just go with Cassio, your name?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Look, Cassio, take us to a moment in your Nala's Baby journey that you think is so significant. It's a room where you want to kind of plant the audience to begin with, to really tell us a story.
I'll take it back to a point where, to me, it felt like a make or break crucial decision. We'd done our first round of investment and stuff. And, you know, at that point, we're putting everything in the business. We're spending, marketing, this, that, and the fourth. And at that point, I had people around me saying, like, you know, we need to start thinking about, you know, the next phase of investment. But it needs to be big. It needs to do this so we can go here and do this and all of these crazy things. And I was like, yeah. And then we got an offer. We met a private equity firm and we got an offer for like millions. And I was like, yes, we need to. And at the time, we also got a listing in the Middle East.
This was the moment. This is the global expansion.
We're going global. It just felt like everything that I needed to do. And I've been introduced to someone who, my friend, who was actually invested in Nala's Baby, said, I want you to meet this person. I think he would be great to be on your advisory board. And then I've met him, his name's Saab, and he's one of those like straight to the point. He will say it how it is or how he feels. And at the time I was explaining, I'm excited and I'm like, yeah, we're going to, you know, the Middle East and, you know, got an offer from a private equity firm for millions and this is what we needed to catapult the business. And he looked at me and said, don't do it. Don't go to the Middle East and don't take the money. But bearing in mind, we've just met, kind of. So I don't really fully know him as much as I do now. But at that time, to hear that, but he's got so much experience, he's done so much things. And I'm sitting in the room with them and they're saying, you need to stop all processes to go to the Middle East right now. We printed the bottles, the labels.
Why did they think that?
And their thought process was focus on the UK, become a dominant brand here in the UK. Do not think about the outside noise and all these shiny things that people are throwing at you. And don't take the money. You don't need the money. Looked at your financials and they said you got enough to do what you need to do profitably if you get the right team and the right people in place. Bearing in mind, I didn't have the right team at this point. So I'm just thinking, the money's there. And it was just such a like hard decision for me. And I said, this time I'm gonna listen and I'm going to take the advice of people that's done it before me. So I made the decision to not take the money. I made the decision to stop the process to go into the Middle East and Dubai and Saudi. And it was the absolutely best decision I made because, you know, we went from doing 500,000 bottles to millions of bottles, becoming one of the top brands in boots and then going into all of the retailers. And we was able to focus on getting listings in all of the retailers, growing in those categories, becoming a dominant brand. And and we done it with the finances that we had. I didn't need to take investment. I would have given out this equity. They was asking for like, you know, they want to be on the board and the director and all of this stuff. And I could have potentially lost control of my business if I had made that move so early on. And I'm just so glad that, you know, I listened to them and everything worked out exactly how they said it would if I listen and we do it this way. So that was a kind of like a moment where I'm just like, I'm so glad I didn't do that.
We'll carry on the conversation in just a moment. But first, if I asked you to picture AI in action, I reckon you'd think of a large language model or something that you think optimizes your own personal productivity. But have you stopped to think about the impact that AI actually has on the big industries? Industries like aviation, manufacturing, construction, and energy. The kind of businesses that we interact with every single day that rely on AI without us even being aware of it. Let's take manufacturing, for example. Get this, 200 billion packages a year are sustainably produced and distributed by the world's leading manufacturers using IFS.ai. Industrial AI is IFS.ai. I've been working with IFS for years. I know them really well. I've seen the impact up close and personal, and I'm so proud that they're partnering with Room Where It Happened on this show. And if you're like me and your business deals with assets and you want to deliver the very best class service to your people and your customers, please check them out at IFS.ai. Proud partners of Room Where It Happened. If you can just take a couple of seconds to subscribe, then of course you can get each episode directly to your inbox. And honestly, for you to subscribe, it makes such a difference to our show. It means we can grow, and it means we can attract more incredible guests like George Heaton, Rory Sutherland, or Richard Branson to come and join us. And I think that is such a great place to start, right? Because I've been on, like you, a journey of trying to build businesses. And the truth is that people go, oh, you've got a successful business, you must know what you're doing. But isn't it true that you still have no idea? No idea.
It's crazy because a lot of the time we just have big dreams. Yeah. And, we just think about the end goal. But, there's a road that goes like this to get there. And if we haven't experienced that yet, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's full of surprises.
That naivety, though, is the only reason you begin. And you would have thought the same, right, with Nala's Baby. You're like, well, I'll start it, sell some bottles, then sell loads and sell it for millions.
Literally, you do not think about all the hurdles and all the problems that you're going to face, all the crazy things that you just think would never happen.
Talk to us about some.
I've got a new product line coming out with one of the biggest retailers in the country, and we've agreed dates and products that you plan to put in their failed testing. And that's a 3-month process. And now you can't launch these products. You're going to let down the retailer. And these are things that are like, I did not think, what happens if this fails testing right at the end? Because it's like, imagine a 3-month process. And then you're thinking, we're on week 11, so it's going to pass testing. And then on week 12, it fails. And you're just like, back to the drawing board, we can't launch this product, got to go back and start. You just don't even think about these things. Or there was a time where a customer messaged us and was like, I've bought the product, but I don't think this is the same product that I bought before. And I was like, how? He said it smells differently.
Heart drop moment.
I'm like, wait, what?
Panic.
And this has happened. I was on holiday with my daughter at the time. And they're like, yeah, no, it's different. Then another customer said the same thing. I said, I think this is a different product. Then we've realized that they've put the wrong filling line in the wrong. And it's just like, how does this even happen? Like, you would never think this is going to happen. Luckily, it was kind of a like-for-like product, but it was just it was the wrong fragrance and the wrong smell. So they could smell it and it smelled differently. But imagine it was like something completely different. So luckily, and it just got onto a few shelves. So we did have to recall everything to be safe, and then identify the batch numbers, and then remove those, and then send them. And it's just like things like that. You just can't even fathom that this is going to happen in business. And there's just so many hurdles that you have to deal with. And I've just realized, like, we're always firefighting, but it's also not about what happens, it's about how you deal with it. I'm always just like, okay, this is the problem. How do we fix it? That is how I operate now. It's like, and I want that mentality with my team as well. So my team wouldn't come to me and say, we've got a problem. They'll come to me and say, we've got a problem, but this is what we've done to mitigate this. And that's the mentality I want with everybody around me and my team. So it's just like, okay, the problems happen, but this is what we're going to do to fix it, and this is the next step. Some might be, worse than the others, but that's the mentality I have with everything. And I'm so adamant that I know there's going to be problems. I know there's future things that's going to happen, go wrong, but how do we deal with it? And I've just started to kind of learn that. And, I feel like being naive though. If I knew all the problems that you would face when it comes to business, you probably wouldn't even do it. But
probably or definitely?
No, definitely.
You definitely wouldn't do it
if you had any idea.
How many years ago did you first have the original concept in your head?
5.
So 5 years.
So 5 years, the original concept. But as soon as I had the concept, I acted on it. Because I was just like, oh my God, there's a gap for it. There's no other products that are clean, natural, and score great on Yucca and all of these apps. It doesn't exist where every product is excellent.
And in your head, when you have that idea, you think, well, this is just going to fly. Because,
it has to work.
Because you believe it so wholeheartedly. Like, how many times have you laid there at night thinking, this could be the end of our business? I've had that so many times.
Absolutely.
You get used to that
even
feeling.
Starting it, sometimes it just felt like this isn't even going to get off the ground. Like, because I didn't realize how much it would take to even get it to a place where it ticks all the boxes I want, to be ready for market and mass production and having the right supply chain. I didn't even realize the scale of that. I'm just like, I want to develop some products. And then it was like, at the start I was quoted like 15 grand. I was like, yeah, great, 15 grand. I can do that, get the first range. And then it was like, I want it to be tier 3. And they're like, okay, if you want it to be tier 3, it's going to cost you 40 grand. If you want it to be approved, you got 15 grand, 20 grand. And then I'm just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And I haven't even produced any stock. I'm just developing the product and I'm back and forth and it's costing. And I'm like, before I know it, I've probably spent like £250,000 just before I've even placed an order. And then you don't even know if you're going to get the right distribution. So then you're hoping you do. So I pitched it to Boots, and then I didn't realize that was an issue because I pitched it to Boots, and Boots are like, lovely, we would love, this makes so much sense. We'd love to have this product. And then they're like, yeah, we want to launch in 400 stores. But this is the rate of sale, so we're going to need hundreds of thousands of bottles, tens of thousands of bottles. I'm like, and then there's minimum order quantities of 20,000 per product. You've got 8 SKUs. And
now people are listening to this who have not done this kind of thing and hold on, you've just set up a business and Boots want to spend millions of pounds with you. That feels like a great thing. The reality is so far from it being a great thing, isn't it?
It's like way out of your depth. Yeah. It's like you jumping into the deep end.
It's like a non-league team being promoted to the Premier League and suddenly having to play Liverpool and winning.
Absolutely. Because with them, it's like, if you don't deliver it on the time that you say you're going to deliver it and you don't doing all these things, you'll get delisted.
You're basically bankrupt at that point.
Yeah, you're finished. So it's like, oh, this is real. And so then there's that. And now you're like, I've just spent X amount to just develop these products. And now I've got to place hundreds of thousands of bottles. This is crazy. And then you don't even know if it's going to, if I knew I was going to spend that money. So if I went initially when they quoted me 15 grand and they said, this is probably going to cost you close enough to, 700 grand or whatever it was at the time, I would have been like, yeah, probably let me just do something else. But it's the naivety of thinking, so 15 grand to develop these products, and then I sell it to Boots, probably a couple thousand, and it's like, no, you're dealing with a massive organisation that has stores all around the country, and they need stock, and they need this, and they need that, and it's just like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? But that is what makes you do it.
So why do it? What's the thrill in creating your own brand and growing it?
The thrill of creating, for me, is actually owning my own brand. I come from music, and in music, it's like you sign to a record label, they own your masters, they own your music, they actually own the business, and you're kind of, you make money from it, you do brand deals, performances, shows, and all of that stuff, but you technically don't own this. So when people want to, for example, use our song as a sample, it's like, I can't say no or yes. They have to go to, and then you realize, hold on, I don't run this business. I'm a commodity in this business. So for me, coming from that to owning the business and making the decisions and being able to actually feel the lows and highs of the business is, I love it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, and I can actually make a difference in decisions that I make. Do you know what I mean? I can be the one to say, okay, we want to donate X amount of products to this family here, or, you know, people that might not be able to afford it. I can go and make that decision and do that. I couldn't do that before. I can actually make those decisions for the business and just what's next. And do we want to do this product? Nah, I don't want to do this product. I want to do this product. And I can actually make those decisions. And then obviously the rough with the smooth and the hurdles and the team. Like, I love having my team, and I love, you know, the thrill of like knowing my team love working here and being able to say, I want to give you 50% bonus, and just making a difference in other people's life and saying, you know, I think you've done a great job this year. I'd love to do this for you. And just that, creating a community, creating a team, creating a team of love and people that genuinely care about something that I'm building as well. And yeah, the journey of that, man, like, I can't even describe it.
I'm so interested in this side of the conversation, because if you took your two worlds, right, you as a musician and you as a businessman, right, musician, you can turn up, you can be the last person to turn up, you can be the first person to leave, you can get driven there in a chauffeur-driven car, you can get a green room that someone's already set up for you with all the food and all the snacks. You've got a runner to look after you and make sure there's anything you want. You get to walk out on stage. You get that amazing hit when there's tens of thousands of people screaming your name, singing along to your songs. And then you get to go back, and you might go to a club before you go home or whatever. Sounds amazing. And then there's the business side of you, which is first one out of bed in the morning, the last one to get paid, the first one to worry about the finances, the first one to have a conversation about HR, the first one to get a phone call when the wrong bottles are being stocked on the shelves with the wrong product in them. All of these stresses and anxieties and fears and worries. But it's so hard to explain to someone, because I feel so similar that I came from a TV world where I was presenting television programs to a world of business, you know, building media businesses. I can't tell you how much more rewarding the stressful, painful, full of worry business world is compared to just like being paid. It feels empty, the previous world I was in.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. It's because like I even had like a realization when my business really started to take off, and, you know, things started getting a bit more real for me. Just little things that I would notice that didn't apply when I did music. So even signing a record deal, I think we was an hour late. And I remember I had quite an important Zoom, and I was 5 minutes late. And they said, yeah, we're just going to do the Zoom another time because you was late. So, and it was just like, it was no nonsense. Do you know, your people really value their time. And
why does this feel more real? Because it really does feel more real. And I'm sure you can understand what I mean.
Yeah, it does. It feels, I feel like as well, I feel like I've got a responsibility as well. You got as well, if you're running a business and you own a business, you've got to lead by example as well. So if you're, you know, not doing certain things, or you're setting a bad precedent in the business, then, like, I was speaking to my MD Ben, and I'm glad I've got him as well, because he is so like, no, we need to set the precedent for everybody. Everybody needs to be in the same amount of days. Everybody needs to be on time. And if someone's a bit late, he doesn't like it. And it's those kind of things also kind of are installed in me as well. And I feel like coming from a world where that didn't apply, and now it just feels real, because you really have to be on time. If you're not on time, you might miss this. It might have a domino effect on your business, your team, your staff, like how people might perceive you. You've got an important meeting, you have to be there on time. You've got a meeting with somebody that wants to do business with you, or potentially wants to distribute your products in another country. If you turn up late to that meeting, they might lose a little bit of faith in you just as a person. Just, you turn up late, you don't really care. And it's a completely different world. It feels like it is the real world. You have to be on time. You have to show people that you're serious, and you can't take really nothing for granted, because it's business. And yeah, it just feels so different now, man. But
I also think it shows that you grow as a person. There was a time where just doing music was enough. That gave you every thrill you need, but it's just not enough now. You need something tangible.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I always used to think, if I have a child or have kids, and they don't like music or they're not into music, what can I leave for them? And I'll leave some rap lyrics on a piece of paper. It's not tangible, and I just feel like I've always wanted to do business. Me and Conan's always wanted to do business. Like, you know, we've attempted businesses didn't work, some did, some didn't. And having those failures, those lessons, but knowing that if you get it right, you can make 99 mistakes, but get it right once. Like, you can be on your way, do you know what I mean? So I always had that in my mind. So I'd always keep pushing business. And business is something that I could, you know, leave behind or pass on or leave a legacy. And if you build something incredible, and even if you was to leave it, it still exists. And yeah, man, it's so much bigger to me.
It's easy to look at some of those early businesses that you set up, including the one, you know, going into business with Conan, right? It's easy to look at those and say they were failures, but the truth is they weren't failures. They were lessons. It was feedback, right? You were seeing the mistakes you were making. And I'm hoping there'll be loads of people listening to this that are inspired by your story to launch out into the world of business. And I say this so often to my kids: you can get a job and earn a salary, fine, but if you really want to feel like you're living, then go and do your passion project, turn it into a business. Take us to one of those early businesses that failed, why it failed and what you learned from it.
So we've actually got such a good example of that with something that we did that failed and something that we're doing now that's working. And it's similar fields, but we opened a restaurant called Crepes Cones after our names. It was like a dessert restaurant, but we also done soul food, and like it was a nice setup, but it cost a lot of money, and we didn't have a clue what we was doing.
Your money?
Yeah.
So you guys
we didn't get no investment
investors
for that. We literally bootstrapped.
And what do you think you would have put in?
Probably spent about £500,000 on that, and we didn't have a clue what we was doing. We did have an unfortunate circumstance though, because we was doing it with one of our friends, and he was helping us. So he was like our MD, our manager, our store manager, and he was kind of leading all of the logistics, hiring staff, accounts, all of that stuff. And then on the week that we was to launch, he passed away.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. When we launched, we genuinely didn't have an idea what we was doing, and it was like,
you launched without your leader.
We've announced it. We've got this date. And we were just like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna do? So we was in the shop every day, just learning, trying to hire people ourselves. Didn't have a clue what we was doing. We didn't have a team, no management. It was insane, and trying to kind of recover from it was just like a never-ending hole that was just throwing money into, trying to recover this situation. But what we learned in terms of even just the hiring process, and we was at that time, it was like, let's get our friends in and family and, you know, give back, and we're trying to make this and we realized too late that was definitely not the way to go. Like, I wish now, if I'd opened that now and redone that now, I would have started from the top in terms of hiring, who's going to be running it, hierarchy of the business, how we're going to do that, and go from there. But at that time, we was just winging it. And
also, it sounds to me like you had a non-business mentality to it all.
It was just, we was going with the flow.
Fun.
It was like, and it was a fun process. You know, we had so many nice events, and, you know, we're not thinking about anything. We're just, it's people was in there, people are eating, and it felt good. But when you look back at it now, it's like we was not running a business. It was like a passion project, like a side. I don't know, I can't explain it, but it was crazy. But I learned so much from that. And we said, whenever we do our next venture, let's partner up with the right people. Let's do it with people that are experienced in this field. Like, now I would love to have done that, but with someone that has experience in running a restaurant, scaling restaurants, whether it's franchising, whatever it is, and have an actual partner that knows that side of it. Because we're great at marketing. We know how to, you know, get that place packed and jammed with people and cause hype. We know how to do that, do you know what I mean? And I was just like, anytime I do a business now, this team, it's the right people, having the right people in place. And so when we now open up our supermarket, we've done it with our partner, Quasar, who's he's got franchises of stores, and this is his bag.
And do you do the partnership with an experienced person right at the start.
Yeah, for if you can.
Yeah.
So with us, it was someone that we knew that has experience in this, and the partnership, we just knew that he would have that side covered in terms of logistics and running it and staff and just managing this big supermarket. He would be the best person to do it with, rather than us trying to do it. And he knew that in terms of awareness and being able to, so we just knew this would be a perfect partnership, you know. And now it's so seamless, and he deals with the stuff that we don't like, well, necessarily our strong points, and we do the stuff that are not necessarily his strong points. And now it really works, and it's smooth. You're going there, it's peaceful. We see the start. It's a completely different experience to what it was before, and that was just due to learning from doing it wrong.
You had to get it wrong,
Had
then
to
get it right.
Exactly.
I remember when I started out in my sports presenting career, I worked in Formula One at the beginning and hosted that for the BBC, and I suddenly was working with all of these really wealthy people. They were investors in Formula One, they were living in Monaco and all these other places. One of the big things that I took from them was that people who are serious about business are able to treat it like business, even when it infects their own life. So a really good example I always refer to is like Richard Branson hires out his ski chalet, right, in Switzerland. Richard Branson does not need to hire his ski chalet out to people for 30 grand a week because he's Richard Branson. But it's a business decision. And it's either a business or it isn't a business, right? And it can't be both. And it feels like that, you know, Crepes and Cones was like you thought it was a business, but it wasn't really a business.
Yeah.
You were just giving people a good day out.
Exactly. And kind of understanding the difference, when to switch that on and switch that off, I think is key as well, man. Like, I wish I could go back, but then at the same time, if I knew everything then, I wouldn't have learned everything that I've learned now to be able to do the stuff that I'm doing now and apply all of those lessons into Nala's Baby. And the first thing that was on my mind when I was doing Nala's Baby is the team. I need the right people in place, the right infrastructure. I need advisors. I need an MD. I need a CFO. I need this. I need all of these people in place that can help me run this business. And it's literally been the best decision I've made in terms of like where we spent our money. Hiring the right people is probably the best investment you can make into your business.
Well, let's talk then about how you hire the right people. What are the questions that you ask or the processes that you go through to make sure the people that you're getting in are the right people?
Experience, one, but what helped me at the start with in terms of hiring people, it was getting references from people and people referring people that have worked in similar fields, or they know their work ethic and and what we need in a company. So that's why it was so important for me to start at the top in terms of getting an advisory board. That was from my friend who has invested in the business. So he has the same interest as me for this business to succeed because he's invested in it. So when he's saying, I would love for you to sit down and meet this person, and then this person saying, this is great, and I think you should sit down with this person, and then that person saying, that's great, I think I know somebody who used to work in this business, which is in this world, in the baby world, they've, done extremely well. They know their stuff, they're great. And then it was speaking to that person, and then that person who is now one of my advisors, but also acts as like our COO, and she's amazing. And she was like, I work with someone called Ben, and Ben is a doer, and Ben will get stuff done. And you're at the stage now in a business where you need someone that is going to go out and get it done. And he is that person where I do this and I'll oversee certain things, forecast numbers, this, that, and the fourth, and he will go out and get it done. And so the hierarchy of my team in terms of, all the management team and the advisors was all recommended by people with experience to start with. And then at that point, me and Ben was just like the ultimate duo, working back and forth. And then as the company started growing, it was like, we need to hire, someone to manage these accounts because we're getting listed in all of these supermarkets. And it's like, I don't have the time to do this. Ben was doing the logistics, he was doing new product development, he was doing the finances, he was doing literally everything. one man.
And so right at the beginning when he was doing everything, what did you see your role as at that point?
I was dealing with the marketing, the brand, how we're going to
You're the face, you're the PR guy,
yeah,
the ideas guy.
PR, ideas, content, creation, in terms of, and also assisting him with like the new product development and like, this is the new products I want to do. I think this will work because of this. I think we should do something like this. And we do, so it was like the innovation of the brand, the marketing of the brand, how we're going to land this to people, how we're going to get this brand out there. And then he was doing that side. So we was just like the ultimate duo at the time. And then I had a marketing assistant that would help me in terms of because I've got loads of ideas. So I need someone that's going to go and bring these ideas to life. I've got this idea. I want you to go and sort this out. I want to do a shoot like this. I want to get this and that. And she will go and make it happen. India, she's amazing. And that was us. And then we decided like, okay, we've got 10 different accounts, retailers. We need to get an account manager. And at that point, I was like, okay, I need to do this in the best way possible. And then my friend, he has like a recruitment agency, but he's amazing. And he got like access to I don't even know where he finds all of these people. But he was like, okay, I'll find you an account manager. Literally the next day he had someone. And who's actually our account manager now and has helped us scale the accounts to where we're at now in terms of sales, revenue, all of that stuff. And so I went through him and then I was like, nah, he's brilliant. And then he ended up getting our logistics person, now our financial person. And we've used the recruitment agency, but they vet them and they align them with kind of like-minded companies and people that have, so our account manager was in a massive beauty brand and done the accounts for so it was hiring. They're going to be more expensive than the usual, but I'm a strong believer in, they're worth every single penny if you hire the right people. And that's kind of where we're at now. It's just hiring these key people and paying people what they deserve to be paid to have them really passionate about their role and their job and make them enjoy it as well. So
it's exciting, isn't it, when you get someone in a role and you like, they are full-time, fully dedicated to that one thing.
One thing.
Like, literally, I can see you get excited just when I say
which we can only spend like maybe 2 days a week on because you've got to focus on.
It's stupid though that once you're involved in running a business, this is the stuff that lights you up. Someone going, I'm going to do logistics as a full-time job, and that just makes you so happy because it feels safe.
It's so funny because like when we were in the process of hiring someone to do BRFC at the minute, and when we was doing that, there was one person that when they spoke about accounts, their just faces lit up, and I was just like, my face can't light up for this. But they were so excited about just the accounts and doing the finances and the full. They were just so. I was like, I need that energy on this specific thing that they can just focus on. And yeah, like literally, it's game changer when you can get someone to offset a bit of work or a part of the business that you can't put your 100% into, and that's how you grow a great team and a great business because you have people that love their roles. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. And I found that's changed my whole business.
On The Room Where It Happened, we speak to high-performance CEOs, founders, industry leaders. And there's one thing that they all have in common. They know the value of energy, of clarity, of consistency. But for years, I struggled with that myself, especially actually when it came to sleep. But then I found this. This is Vitals by Heights. Just 2 capsules a day, packed with 20 essential nutrients, omega-3s, vitamin D3. This is backed by over 1,400 scientific studies. And honestly, after a couple of weeks, I noticed a genuine change. Deeper sleep, sharper focus, more energy when I was at work. And my sleep monitor backed it all up. Because the truth is, in business, you can't afford to run on empty. So if you're looking to show up at your best, start with your sleep. Head to heights.com/room or use the code ROOM20 and you'll get 20% off your first subscription order, or just click the link in the description. Was there a time where you tried to do it all yourself? Because I think great leaders have the humility to just know that they're not everything. Like, I've never been a CEO because I know that I can't have appraisals and meetings about KPIs, and I just can't have those conversations. I have silly ideas and give them to someone.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I don't want to sit in a meeting and utilize my time that it's not best spent here. I'd rather someone that, you know, they love doing this, so their time is best spent here. And early on in the business, you end up doing a lot more. Like when I initially launched it, I was doing the budgeting, I was doing all of that, the numbers, the account. I was doing all of that, as well as doing the marketing, as well as, you know, doing that new product development, and as well as, you know, going through ingredient. All of this stuff, I was doing everything. And then you hire people in to take a bit of that workload off, and then you start, and then it grows. But it happens, and sometimes you have to get stuck in. But at the top of my mind, I was always like, okay, as soon as I feel uncomfortable in a certain area, I need someone to do that.
Is that what you think? So as soon as you feel something's not under control in the business, you bring someone in?
Yeah, and I'll always ask my MD, I'll say, like, we'll always catch up and I'll say, what part of the business do you feel that is taking up too much of your time so you can't focus on this aspect? And then he will tell me. So that's how I realized, was like, okay, we need someone to do the accounts. And he was like, okay, let's get someone in to do that. And I was like, what's taking up your time now? Logistics. Okay, let's get someone in to do that. What's taking up your time now? MPD. Okay, get someone in to do that. What's taking up your time now? Financial control. Get someone to do that. Now you can focus on growth and international and expansion and all of this stuff. And this is like our ethos in terms of, as soon as you feel that the weight's getting too heavy, just communicate it so we can get that sorted and keep it moving.
You know, like, performing music is much easier.
Oh, mate. Tell me about it, man. Like, just going on stage.
You have given
minutes,
up the easy
45
life.
minutes, performing and going home. Job done. But to be honest, like, with music, there's moments where it can be a little bit hard, where it's like, you know, you got to go to studio every day, you're recording, you're hearing the same music over 24 hours being played, and you've got to write lyrics, you've got to come up with the concepts, the beats, and all of this stuff. You've got to sit in and mix it.
But I think the reason why it's hard, because I always think, like, everything's hard work if you don't feel it, if you don't love it.
Yeah.
And nothing's hard work if you're passionate about it and you love it. And I'm not saying you don't love music, but I think from what I can glean, like, the lack of ownership is the thing for you. Like, you will give your all if you own something. And that often leads to challenges, actually, for owners of businesses, because you stand there with your team and you're like, why do you not care like me? Why do you not think like me? And quite rightly, they go, well, because I get a salary and I'm not going to one day have a multi-million-pound exit. So I don't know whether for your sort of advisory board or your senior people, you give away equity.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's really important.
I do. For the advisory board and management part of equity.
Now, that scares a lot of people because they think they're giving something up rather than getting something. So what's your approach to...
I'm not scared of that at all, because I feel like if we get where we need to get to, everybody's going to benefit. And I would rather, you know, have people that feel like they're also fighting the same journey as me, because the bigger this gets, the more they're going to benefit from. So I want them to share that same experience and hunger as me. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it is important, man, to incentivize your team. And yeah, that's what I'm literally now set. I've done the advisory side, but in terms of the management side, we're literally setting all of that up to incentivize the team, man, and make everybody feel a part of this business for real. So when we do, you know, go and have that big exit or whatever it is, or whatever that looks like, they're going to benefit from it too. And it doesn't feel like we're doing all of this hard work for just your benefit. And then also, like, hence why even at the start, before we even started talking about getting a management part and all of this stuff, I wanted to make sure people are paid generously and giving away great bonuses, and they feel like they enjoy working here. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm a strong believer in that.
What are your sort of exit thoughts? Are you someone that has a specific exit plan in mind, or are you just...
At the minute, because I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And what I've learned to do is just focus on growing the business. And, you know, when that happens, and when we're at a point where, you know, everybody that's invested in, we can say, like, there's a potential opportunity for people to cash out or whatever it is, then we'll do that. But I think if I get too caught up thinking about that, it might just mess up my objective of what I've got to focus on now. And my main focus now is just getting, you know, new products out, expanding and international and all of this stuff. And I just want to focus on that. And then once because there's so much milestones that I know I need to achieve before I even think about an exit. There's so much stuff I need to do and need to get done. And once those get done, then I can start thinking about, what would this look like or that. And I've got a great team to help me with that process as well when it's time. And as well, they will always say, just focus on the business. Like, just focus on the business. Don't get sidetracked with all these shiny things. Just focus on the business, grow the business. And when that happens, you've got a great team and enough people around you to make sure that you do the right thing.
It's a good point there, because there's always an exciting opportunity around the corner. Does it take you closer to the dream, or does it take you further away from the dream? You have to make sure you ask that question every time something exciting is there.
Yeah, every time there's something exciting, it's like exciting things usually have, it's like a butterfly effect in it. You don't know if I take the shiny thing, what effect that's going to have. And they feel like the biggest decisions of running a business, for me anyway. So anytime a great opportunity comes, I always just sit down with my team and say, guys, I just need everybody's thoughts on this. And then we all kind of collectively make the right decision. And it's worked for us. We've made really good decisions doing that and just getting everybody's input, everybody's opinions. And then they always say, but it's your decision to make at the end of it. And I'm just like, okay, no pressure.
And are you nervous about being really publicly the face of Nala's Baby? Because I think sometimes people have this view that if it's a celebrity, for want of a better word, led brand, then it's not really real. Yeah. He's probably got some company in China bottling up some stuff for him and he just puts his name to it. He's guaranteed 50 grand a year and everyone's a winner. It's the total opposite of that. So I just wonder whether whether you see the pitfalls about being, like, putting yourself too much at the centre of it.
Yeah, so it's weird that it's funny that you say that, because I will promote the business in terms of people that follow me and watch me.
Yeah.
But like, in terms of Nala's Baby, the brand doesn't even acknowledge me. So it doesn't follow me. You won't see me on Nala's Baby page.
And that's a conscious decision.
Yeah, conscious decision. Like, you won't see Nala's Baby posting Krept, and it doesn't acknowledge me. I acknowledge the brand, and I will promote and drive everything I can to the brand, because I have a platform and I might as well do that. However, if you go and you follow the brand or you come across it in a store, and I'm so focused on like the brand having presence in stores. So when people are going there, they can see the brand, there's messaging, and people can fall in love with the brand on their shop and their journey, and it's so important. So I spend a lot of marketing in store, where I'm nothing to do with that. But I spend more marketing on that than marketing in terms of, hey, here's Nala's Baby, and like most of the budget and most of the spend goes on the brand building its own presence in these stores. And that is a conscious decision, because I want the brand to be, and I've met so much people that don't even know that I don't even own the brand. Like, they've said, oh, Nala's Baby, I use that. And I was like, and they just have no idea.
But that's a good thing.
I 100%. Yeah. And I purposely want that to be the case. I want the brand to be bigger than me.
I'm so impressed, right, by what you've done, because over the time that I've done this job and just generally been around, I've met so many well-known founders who've created a business, and I'm interested, so I start talking to them about it, and I ask them a question. I'll ask the CEO, what about this? Ask the head of marketing, what are your plans for the future? Ask my distribution. Yeah, I talk to you, and you know this brand inside out, upside down. You clearly live it, breathe it. I mean, you're wearing, for those that are watching, they'll know, but for those listening on their podcast player, you're wearing a Nala's Baby hoodie. Yeah. And I think your superpower is that you're a master marketeer. For those listening or watching this that would love to have some sort of cut through and some kind of impact, what are the secrets to great marketing that you would want people to understand how you can create moments?
For me, when I launched it, I wanted to compete with the biggest brands in the country. So I knew I was going up against these giants. So that's why the investment side was important for me. So that was actually the main reason why I raised the investment, because I was like...
And how much did you raise?
I raised 3 million.
Yeah.
So I'd done it in 2 phases. So I started 1.5 million, and then not long after, I'd done another 1.5 million. And I raised that money because I was like, I am going in with this marketing. I want this to be as, loud as possible. So I tried to have every kind of touch point when it came to marketing. People that, I walk in, I had like close proximity billboards to the stores that we was in, just so that people can see it. Then I was doing influencer marketing, of course. I feel like that's standard. So we do a lot of gifting and outreach that way, and choosing influencers and people of influence and mothers and parents that have voices in different sides of the country. And, you know, we wanted someone that has a voice in Scotland and Ireland and all, and it was just kind of tapping into people that have voices in all of these key areas. So we dug and dug to find people where they're from, their audiences, getting their insights and finding out their demographic and, you know, the geography of their actual followers, rather than just looking at someone, oh, they got a million followers, let's use them. It was like finding where they are and kind of mapping out, okay, we want to tap into all of these areas in the UK. And I done something where, and there's also capitalizing on moments as well. Like I done something which was it worked out really good, but I done an ad on Love Island where I'm friends with Kem and Chris. And Chris had a viral moment in previous season of Love Island where he said, does anyone want me to rap to lift the mood a little bit? And like that was like a viral moment. And I was thinking, okay, if I make an advert for Love Island, that audience is going to straight away get the concept of it. So I had a version where I created an advert where all the babies were crying, and then one baby who I got Chris to do the voiceover for, so the babies are talking and stuff in it. So I got Chris to do the voiceover. These babies are crying, making up noise. And then Chris interrupts and says, does anyone want some Nala's baby to lift the mood a little bit? And all the babies stop crying. And I put that advert on Love Island, and mate, that like converted so many people to our website. Right? It was crazy, but it was just things like that. I'm a creative, so I think of ways to kind of really land certain aspects of marketing. And I've done a lot of communication in terms of communicating about the product. The main USP for us was, at the time, was obviously we were the most natural baby skincare brand. It didn't exist, hence why we started this brand and project in the first place. But when Nala's mum was pregnant, she used to get a lot of people saying, oh, you know, if you have this, a drink, eat this, or you put this on your skin, it can go into the fetus and affect the baby and all of this stuff. So we got introduced to a product ingredient rating app. So there was two. There was one called Think Dirty and one called Yucca. And like you scan things and it tells you how clean, how dirty or how bad they are. So we was getting all these baby shower gifts and scanning all these products, and we're like, these are all the products that was in the shops. And we was like, why is none of them rating excellent on Yucca, where it was just like, you know, might have one good, bad, very bad, maybe one random excellent. It was just like, where is the consistency here? So we was like, we're going to be that brand to have excellent rated products, clean, non-toxic, natural, and all of the above. So we communicated a lot of that in the messaging when we was promoting it, and when we was getting people to talk about it. We was making them say, look, scan Nala's baby, you got the app, scan it, then scan whatever you have now and you'll see the difference. And we did a lot of that communicative marketing, and that really helped. And then the part that you can't pay for is the testimonies, and people actually coming and saying, oh my God, we love this brand. Look what it's done before and after pictures. And it's helped my kid hasn't been able to use anything but steroid cream or this. There was so much of that. And that, I think that is obviously the most powerful tool, because you can't plan for that. And that was like, so back to the original question, for me, creating a product or a brand that there's USPs for it, for one, and something that you can be so proud of and shout about for so many reasons. If you can do that and communicate that to other people, people will take it on board. So for us to convert people is so easy, because I was just like, look at this app, whatever you use now, scan that, then scan Nala's baby and see the difference. And it was just like easy.
There's your sales technique.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just, if you genuinely have a product or a brand and you can communicate why yours is either better, superior, whatever the reason is, and you can stand on that, being able to communicate that and putting that out there, you will win. So that was the main bit of marketing I think changed everything for the business.
I think it's such an important point, because you're talking about credibility. And imagine how hard the last few years would have been if you didn't believe in Nala's baby. Yeah, every minute of your day was trying to convince people to buy it. You'd be dead.
It would be crazy. Yeah. And that's the thing. I always tell people, don't cut corners when it comes to, if you're building something, you want to build whatever it is. I want to build, you know, a football boot. I want to build a car, whatever it is, are you absolutely happy with it? Because I delayed the launch of Nala's Baby for probably an extra year just because I wasn't happy with the product. And I was like, nope, back to the drawing board, change that. I want that ingredient change. I want this change, that changed. Like, I was not settling until I got it to a point where I was like, this is it. This is perfect. This is what I wanted. I'm so happy and proud of this brand. And these are all the ticks and the USPs. And I was like, I'm going to war. And that's genuinely how I felt. And if you feel like that with your brand or your product or whatever it is, you genuinely will have a chance, I think. And if you can communicate that, yeah.
There's a Japanese concept called ikigai. Have you heard of it?
No, ikigai.
Ikigai. You'd really like it. So basically, it's 4 questions that you ask yourself, and where these 4 things meet in the middle is your ikigai. And ikigai translates in Japanese as your reason for being.
Okay.
And the 4 questions are: what do you love?
Mm-hmm.
What does the world need? What are you good at? And can you make money from it? So if you take that
and
with Nala's
apply
Baby,
it to, yeah.
The reason why it's so hard, but while it's so hard, it's also so easy, is because you found your ikigai. And if people could find that in their life.
That is literally what it is, literally. That's crazy. I'm going to use that one, ikigai. Yeah.
Search it up when you leave here.
I will.
Look, we've come to the end, but thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Would you do one thing for me?
Of course.
Would you just, for people listening to this who might have the fear that a lot of people have when they're starting out in business or not really sure what the world might hold for them, if you could just give them 30 seconds of an MBA from you about business, what would you want them to know from the heart from you about why you have to have a go at these things in life?
One thing that is definitely going to happen is there's going to be points of failure. And what differentiates people are the people that go around that, overcome that, and the people that let failure stop them or it becomes a barrier to their next step. Normalizing failure, because not everybody gets it right. You won't get it right. It might take you, 100 times to get something right. You only need to get it right once. So my thing to people would be use failure as a lesson and keep going. I met a founder yesterday at the Times 100 yesterday, and they was actually #1. And when they was telling me their story, and they was like, I failed over and over and over and over and over again, and I had nothing. And then for them to do what they're doing now and being the #1 on the Times 100 list and having, a massive multi-million-pound brand, and what the base of what he was saying is I failed. I failed. And then I got it right. And I live by that ethos. So yes, I'll fail. I could start Crepes and Cones, fail. I'm going again. How do I overcome this? What have I learned from this? How do I apply it to the next thing? And just keep going. So I know it was more than 30 seconds, but embrace the failure.
It was good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Lovely to meet you, man. Thank you.
Man. Thank you.
I think there's so many things I loved about that conversation, but what stands out to me most is that he was actually given the dream. If you think about the way he started, saying, I was offered millions of pounds and global growth, and I turned it down. That actually is the most important message from the whole conversation, because that is the dream for all entrepreneurs. I want to get to a point where someone offers me millions of pounds to take some of my business and grows me globally. Yeah, he said no because he truly understands the purpose of Nala's Baby. He understands that this isn't about a quick win. It's not about jam today. It's about jam tomorrow. It's about actually how big can this be? And that's why when we have conversations on this show with entrepreneurs and business builders who build from a place of purpose and from a place of passion, it often makes it harder because you care so deeply that when you get things wrong, it stings. But it also means that actually it's what keeps you going, because there is going to be moments of failure, there is going to be disappointment, there is going to be doubt, there is going to be fear. And often the only thing that keeps you going in those moments is this sense of purpose, this belief that you're doing something that is worth the fight. And what did he say there? He said, I was ready to go to war. And I think that is actually how you have to approach being a self-starter in business. You have to be ready to go to war in business. But of course, you can't do this alone. And of all the things that he's learned, I think it's clear that he's learned that he's very talented and he's an amazing marketeer and he's a great communicator, but he's also limited. And he's limited because he's a human being, and we all are. Therefore, if you want distribution, and if you want health and safety, and if you want global growth and all the other things that comes with a business, then you need to get the people to do that. And how cool that he understands he's not an MD, so he has an MD for the business. And as soon as that person says, listen, we've got a gap here, we've got an issue, he works hard to fill it, and they work together. to bring the best people, to build a great team, to make a difference so that eventually he can get this business to where he wants it. And that's why we finished talking about Ikigai. And if you do one thing after this conversation, maybe ask yourself those 4 questions. What does the world need? What am I good at? What can make me money? And what do I love? If you find those 4 things, then you've also found your Ikigai, and maybe one day you can be just as passionate. Thanks so much for joining us. Look, I hope you feel you got loads of takeaways from being in the room where it happened. If you can do me one favor, please just take 2 seconds to subscribe to the show. You can get each episode directly to your inbox. It means we can attract even more incredible guests like George Heaton, Rory Sutherland, Richard Branson, and Will Ahmed to the show. Thanks for watching. See you next time.